Hello everyone, and in this video we're going to discuss the steps that make up micro-learning with an actual example. So, just to review, the first 4 steps of the 6 steps of micro are the most important for actually reading the Gemara, and we're going to do these 4 on a live piece, on a piece of Gemara from Makkos. But just first to do a quick review of these 4 steps. Pronounce, be able to read the words properly. That's pronounce. Then we have translate. Translate, get the literal definition of every single word individually, each word by itself. Then punctuate it. Using your definitions of the words, you'll try and figure out how to punctuate it properly, and your knowledge of English or other languages will help with this. And then create meaning from it. And this ties in a little bit to the punctuate step, but now you want to try and figure out what it is actually saying. And if you can do these 4 steps, you can successfully read a piece of Gemara. Okay? You can read it, and then the next 2 steps are understanding it in more depth. Those are what steps 5 and 6 are. Okay? Understanding. But we're going to focus on the reading aspect. So, up here I have our example that we're going to do. This is from the Gemara in Makkos. Makkos, Daf Beis Amud Aleph, at the bottom. Right at the beginning if you want to look at it inside. One pointer. This word is combined into one word in the actual Gemara. Many times it comes up separate like this, and for the sake of simplicity I've separated it into the 2 words to make it up, but if in your Gemara these are together, then you'll know why. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is read. Just read, and this is something you'll pick up the more you do it, and the more you hear other people do it. So sitting in a base medrash and you hear other people learning, you're going to pick up how to read words. You go to a shir and you hear Rebbeim, the Rebbe reads something, you're going to hear it. You go to a shir in a shul, you listen to the way the rabbi reads it, you'll pick up an ear for it as time goes by. So I'm just going to read it so you can hear what it sounds like. It's Minohani Mili. This is an abbreviation, so let me just unabbreviate it. It's Amar Rav. Okay, it's abbreviation. Amar Rav Yehoshua ben Levi de Amar Kra va'asisem lo kasher zamam lo velo lizaro vilifsiluhu lididei velo lifsilu lizare. Okay, so that's just the reading. So that was step 1. Step 2, we said, is to translate every single word. So using a variety of dictionaries and knowledge that you'll build up over time, we'll proceed as follows. And I have another video on common dictionaries to use and their pros and cons, and which ones to go to for which types of words. So, Mina means from where. From where. From where. Honey. These. Mili is things. Mili is things. Amar is said. Rav is a teacher. Teacher. It's a title. It's a title that means teacher. Is Rav. Yehoshua ben Levi is a name. De Amar. The Dalet is that. And Amar is said. De Amar, that said. Kra is a pasuk. Okay. Okay. Now, va'asisem lo kasher zamam, or va'asisem, this is a tricky one. This word is from Chumash. So it's vi is and, is you, them, and the shoresh is do. So it's and you shall do to them. Okay, and when we do Chumash Tiktuk, this will make more sense, but this is a complicated multiple conjugations in a single word, so don't worry about that, but that's what it means. And when you're looking up psukim, words that happen to be in psukim, you can use an art scroll or interlinear art scroll even, or Koran or whatever. You can look up the meaning of it, and because the psukim words can sometimes be very tricky, especially if they're from Mishli or some of the nevuot mentioned in Tanakh. They can be very tricky, and it'll take years of experience to be able to read those words. And so don't get hung up on those words. Focus more on translating the other words and getting the gist of the pasuk, and then understanding how the pasuk's being used to the best of your ability. So v'asisem lo, lo is to him, kasher is like, that, zamam is schemed, lo to him, vilo is, I'll put it down here, and not, lizaro, li is to, o is his, and the shoresh is children. To his children. And I'm gonna actually, we're not gonna use this bottom part. This is continuation of the Gemara. I did not intend to leave this step in, so we're going to ignore it for now. Maybe in a later video we'll get into it, because this is already getting too complicated. I don't want to get too big a piece of Gemara. Fine. So this is talking about, just to give you a little background on this piece of Gemara, the Mishnah at the beginning of the Masechta, Makkos, the beginning is talking about Edom Zomimim. And just a quick thing, Edom Zomimim are if you have two people, draw you a little diagram down here. If you have two people, okay, and they come to a court and they testify falsely, okay? They testify and they're lying, and they're trying to get this guy over here punished, so they're lying about him, about something he did, and so he should get some punishment. So then two other witnesses come and disqualify these guys. So they say you guys are lying, and they prove that they're lying, and then the general rule is that we reciprocate punishment. We give whatever they were trying to give him over here, we give back to them. So if they were trying to get him stoned, we stone them. The Mishnah is talking about cases where they're doing things to him that doesn't even apply to them. And the first example is he's a Kohen, and they're trying to prove that his children should be disqualified, or that he should be disqualified as a Kohen because his father married a divorced woman, and therefore the child loses his kahuna. So if these guys are Kohanim, according to our Edom Zomim rule, we should just punish them the way they were trying to punish him. But the Mishnah says, no, we actually give them lashes. We give them each 40 lashes, and we don't do it. So the Gemara, this piece of Gemara, is trying to determine, how do I know that you give lashes instead of making them disqualified Kohanim, if they're Kohanim. So where do you know that rule from? Mishnah says it. Where do we know it from? So that's what it's saying. That's just background. So now let's look. We read it. We translated all the words. Now the third step is to punctuate. So let's punctuate. So let's read it in the English. Forget the Aramaic. Read it in the English. From where these things? That sounds like a question. So let's put a question mark here. From where are these things? From where are these things? That's the Gemara's question. And from my introduction, you know that it's asking, where do I know that you punish them with lashes instead of the reciprocal punishment? Okay, so Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is saying something. What is he saying? That Amar said. Kra, pasuk. So that the pasuk said. And now there's a pasuk being introduced, and we'll get into this more in macro when we're discussing the beginning and ends of sources. But just so you know, if you look it up in a Chumash, you'll see when this quote ends, because now we're starting a quote, right? To Amar Kra, that the pasuk says. Put in to Amar Kra, Va'asi sem lo kasher zamam, and if you look in the Chumash, you'll see that the quote ends here. Okay, and you do to them, lo, to him, kasher, that, zamam, they schemed, zamam, I actually forgot to point this out, zamam, this is them, they schemed. They schemed, and then the pasuk, and then the Gemara continues after this quote, lo, to him, v'lo, and not, lizaro, to his children. Okay, so this seems to be saying, learning out something from this pasuk. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says a pasuk to answer this, and then he has a little drasha to explain how this pasuk is teaching us that. So what is the pasuk saying? Well, if he says, and you, vasi sem, and you shall do to them, lo, to him, lo seems extra here. It seems extra and out of place. So he's saying, well, look at this extra word here. This is a little extra word. This is step 4 already. We finished our punctuation. This is step 4. Vasisim lo, to him, kasher zamam, like they schemed. So lo seems extra, so he's saying lo to him, v'lo lizaro, and not to his children. And remember, if he's a Kohen, and they're Kohanim, they're both Kohanim, then we have to do the reciprocal punishment. The Mishnah says not to. Why? Because it says to him, what they were trying to do to him, this guy, v'lo lizaro, but not to his children. It's the lo to him is excluding his children. Okay, and that's why if we punish them back, then we're going to end up disqualifying their children. But the pasuk is saying no, you would only punish them to the level that they're punishing him. Okay, and then the Gemara would continues this back and forth. And I don't want to get too bogged down in the lumdus, the depth of the learning behind the sugya, but I just want to show you that there's stuff going on here, and that using these 4 steps of micro, that we can read this piece of Gemara pretty well. We know, here's a question, and then Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi is answering it like this. So that's the first 4 steps of micro and an actual example, and you can go take a look at that in the Gemara itself in Makkos Beis Amud Beis. So I hope this was informative, and I wish you much hatzlacha, and have a wonderful day.